Welcome to the Deep Dive, where your express route to getting really well informed. Today, we're jumping into a topic that, honestly, might genuinely surprise you. It's this unexpected link between vitamin C and managing blood sugar. We've gone through all the materials you sent us, the articles, the research notes, and we've basically boiled it down to the essentials. It's your shortcut to understanding a critical health issue.
Exactly. And look, for anyone who's maybe worried about blood sugar or perhaps managing diabetes or even just curious, this deep dive, it's really going to unpack the science, the solid evidence behind vitamin C and what it means practically. We're going beyond just, take your vitamins. We're talking specific mechanisms, real-world results highlighted in the research.
Okay, so where do we start with this connection? Because, it does seem surprising. Reading through the materials, the first thing that jumped out was this idea that vitamin C could significantly help with blood sugar control. That's not usually the first thing you think of with vitamin C, is it?
Not typically, no. But the evidence we looked at, it's actually quite compelling. It's not just hearsay. We're talking about research presented at a major conference, the 2019 American Diabetes Association meeting, plus findings in various international papers. So this really gives it a strong scientific grounding. It sets the stage for what we're discussing.
Right, that sounds pretty robust.
Yeah.
So the big question then is how? How exactly does vitamin C supposedly help manage blood sugar? What are the mechanisms the research points to?
Okay, so the studies outline basically 4 key ways it seems to work, and they're quite interesting. First, it's a powerful antioxidant. What that means is it helps neutralize these damaging molecules called active oxygen or free radicals.
Yeah.
By doing that, it actually protects the pancreatic beta cells.
Ah, the beta cells, those are the ones that make insulin, right?
Precisely. They're critical for insulin production. So protecting them helps support, both insulin secretion and how well that insulin works overall.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Protecting the insulin factory, essentially.
That's a great way to think about it, yeah. Second, it seems to improve insulin sensitivity. This means your body's cells, they just respond better to the insulin that's there. So you get better blood sugar regulation, potentially, with less insulin needed. That's a big plus.
Definitely. Better sensitivity is huge. What else?
Third, vitamin C seems to help reduce chronic inflammation. And this is important because we know chronic inflammation can actually make insulin resistance worse.
Right, that whole inflammation cycle in diabetes.
Exactly. It's a common problem.
Yeah.
So reducing inflammation could help break that cycle. And finally, the research also suggests it helps improve the health and function of blood vessels, which, as you know, is vital for cardiovascular health, something often impacted by diabetes.
Wow, okay, so antioxidant, insulin sensitivity, anti-inflammation, and even blood vessel health. That's quite a range of actions. Understanding the how is one thing, but what about the what now? For someone listening thinking about this, what do the studies suggest in terms of practical application? How would you actually use vitamin C for this?
Right, the practical side. The research gets pretty specific on dosage for blood sugar management. It suggests a minimum of around 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams per day.
That sounds like quite a bit more than the standard recommendation.
It is, for this specific purpose. But, and this is really crucial, the guidance stresses starting slowly. You need to gradually increase the dose, let your body adjust. This helps avoid potential side effects. The studies also recommend taking it with meals or maybe spacing out the doses through the day.
Okay, so not all at once.
Right. Better absorption, potentially gentler on the system. But the main thing they highlight, consistency. Steady, regular intake seems to be the most important factor for actually seeing results.
You mentioned side effects and starting slowly. That brings up precautions. When you're talking about these higher doses, 3,000, 4,000 milligrams, what are the key things to watch out for? How do you prevent problems?
Yeah, this is where being careful really matters. The studies are quite clear. If you suddenly take large amounts, you might run into issues like, diarrhea or increased urination.
Yeah.
Gastrointestinal stuff mostly.
Okay, makes sense. So how do they suggest starting?
They recommend a specific method. Begin with 500 milligrams 3 times a day. So 1,500 milligrams total to start.
Got it. 500 milligrams 3 times daily.
Yes, for the first week. Then you can gradually increase it from there, paying attention to how you feel. And there's another really important point they emphasize, water intake.
Ah, hydration.
Exactly. You need to drink plenty of water. They specifically mention 2.5 to 3 liters per day. This is mainly to help prevent the possibility of oxalate kidney stones, which can be a risk with higher vitamin C intake if you're not well hydrated. So it's this balance, getting the benefits while being smart about how you do it.
That water point is key. Easy to overlook, but sounds critical. Okay, so we've covered the mechanisms, the dosage, the precautions. But what really brings us home, I think, are the individual stories mentioned in the materials. That's where you see the real-world impact, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's fascinating how these anecdotes seem to line up with the mechanisms we talked about. They really illustrate the potential benefits. For example, there was Mrs. Park Mi-young, 61 years old. She apparently saw her post-meal blood sugar drop by about 40 points.
Wow, 40 points. How quickly?
Within just 3 weeks of consistent vitamin C intake, according to the notes. Then there's Mr. Lee Cheol-soo, 58. He mentioned feeling more energetic in the mornings.
Okay, so not just blood sugar numbers.
Right. And Ms. Kim Soonja, 64, she reported finding relief from chronic fatigue. And maybe one of the most striking examples was Mr. Jung Young-hoon, who's 69. His HbA1c, that's the measure of average blood sugar over several months.
Right, the long-term marker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This had apparently dropped from 7.5% down to 6.8% in 3 months. And he also had positive results in tests looking for diabetes complications. So you see this range of effects: direct blood sugar improvements, energy levels, fatigue, even longer-term markers and complication indicators. It paints a pretty interesting picture.
It really does. This has been a genuinely illuminating deep dive. It seems pretty clear from the research you provided that this potential role for vitamin C in blood sugar management isn't just wishful thinking. There's compelling science. And these real-world results really add weight to it. So you should now have a much clearer, really well-informed view on this angle for managing blood sugar.
Absolutely. And perhaps the most intriguing thing to leave you with is this question. Now that you understand why it might work, the specific mechanisms like, the antioxidant protection for beta cells or improving insulin sensitivity, how does knowing the why empower you? How can it help you engage more critically with health information generally? And maybe even personalize your own approach to well-being, moving beyond just following advice to really understanding the reasoning behind it. Food for thought.